Howdy, what's up? How's it going? Today we are at the Laguna Seca track over in America for the final round of the RWB 2021 series. And with me as always is my assistant and gearhead know-it-all, Mr. James Kell.
Yeah, that's what I like to think.
Of course you do. To get some of the, house... Oh, I always mess up this word. It's like housekeeping stuff out the way. We've got pitwall.live up, so that will have all the timings. You'll see the track map. You can see what sectors there are, who crashes, who goes into the pits. That's all there. If you want to see more of the stream, subscribe to RWB or follow it on Twitch. Depends where you're watching from. And if you want to do some of these races, join RWB through the link on Discord. That'll be in the YouTube channel description bit, and it also comes up with the link at the end of the stream. I'm not going to keep going on for accent. Maybe I'll throw it in later on if I can. I'll try later on. But
Crippled Potato's calling you out in the chat. He said you're sacked if you don't do it for the whole race.
Well, I don't know if I can keep on doing it, but I'll try my best.
You sounded like Forrest Gump.
I sound like Forrest Gump. Anyway, here is a mistake. James, what's your opinion on Laguna Seca?
It's a great track, to be fair. Obviously, I've been out in California, not really been there, but no, it's got some amazing corners. Obviously, the most famous one being the corkscrew, which is quite a significant drop. I think it's a few stories drop from the top to the bottom, which is pretty much a nice little roller coaster for everyone, especially in these GT4 cars. But some great corners, some technical aspects to it, some good bumps and cambers in certain locations that make it a bit interesting, and got to think about it. And I'm sure these guys will be really looking forward to get to the racing and hopefully not have too many incidents today.
100p's. It is a tough track at times. There's a lot of off-camber, on-camber, off-camber corners. For instance, turn 6 is a bit of a weird one. It pushes you up to the far end side, but you'll give us more details in a bit for your track run. But yeah, it's Laguna. It's a bit overcast, but I don't think there's any prediction of rain so far from what I've been seeing. But we'll find out on the day during the race. But yeah, Laguna.
It would be nice to have a bit of rain. I mean, we always like it when it's raining, don't we? However, California, it's not known for being a rainy state in the US. So yeah, I mean, track's been there for quite a while. So I don't know how much the rainfall they've ever had, but yeah, it's quite a dry, arid environment. So I expect possibly a dry race, but it'd be interesting to see if it goes wet.
I agree. It's one of my more preferred tracks, to be honest. I mean, I am a fan, but why don't you take us round on board with Jay Madley?
Absolutely. I mean, Madley's a good person to follow in the Porsche. So this is the last turn coming onto the pit straight. So this is turn 11. Get a good release, use a bit of the green, come back on track, and then you come into the start-finish line here, just under the gantry, and then you've got the pit exit on the left. But this is technically turn 1, which we're going through now, but I just class it as kink, and I only see this as turn 1, which is a big break into the Andretti hairpin. So this is classified as turn 2, but I can see it's turn 1. It's a double apex left-hander. As you can see, that curve dips away on the exit, so you've got to be careful on throttle. Then you're coming into turn 2, which, as on screen now, it's a sort of right-hander, and then technically turn 4. Sorry, this one. Again, watch out for that sausage curve on the apex, because you can get pushed out wide, and it's super soft on the throttle there as well, because you can push the nose on. And then you've got another big braking zone into turn 5. And again, that cambers up, so it gives you can really fire it in with a lot more speed than you think. So that's always one that catches people out initially. And then you come into sort of a blind braking zone and blind entry into turn 6 here. Cambers up as well, but sort of washes away a little bit to the exit. So again, just be careful on the throttle. But then this is the main entertainment really coming up. So the blind braking zone over a crest into the corkscrew, which is a left and right, and we see a mistake from Madley there, and unfortunately he's going to bail on that lap. Hopefully we can get on board with someone else going up the Rolls straight, which would be good, but it doesn't look like that at the moment. But yeah, great track. And we're back at turn 5, which cambers up again. But how the Mercedes look around here, I mean, it's a good car, and we've seen it perform well, but yeah, I'm sure you'll go over that later on. But yeah, cambers up for turn 6, back onto the rail straight, and again coming into this corkscrew section, which is a blind braking zone over crest, just to maybe lift the brakes, back on the brakes, again roll off and just let the car go down the left, then right. Huge elevation change for that corner, and then coming into 9, which is the rainy curve, which again is weird. It sort of dips away here on the exit. It's like a bit of a bump. It cams up through most of it, same as turn 10, which has a large amount of camber. Again, you can fire it in very aggressively, but this is a big stop and probably one of the flattest corners on the track, which is turn 11. A bit of a bump at the apex, but then back on the throttle for the run to the start finish line, and that's crucial to get the lap time out of here. But yeah, lots of corners with a bit of camber. Turn 3, 4, a bit flatter, a bit more like turn 11, but the rest seem to have majority positive camber at the apexes, and some dip away and go to negative at the exit point, especially the rainy curve at turn 9. But yeah, no, some interesting corners, and I'm sure these guys will enjoy racing here and seeing out the end of this championship.
Yeah, it is the final round, as I said at the start, but it's getting close. It's getting close. Let's do qualifying, James. I'm set on qualifying.
Yeah, let's have a look at qualifying results.
So the top 10 positions are as follows. In the P10 position is RWB Rigel and Kai Banks in P9. Tom Weaver is in P8 with Usama Karolia alongside in P7. Jay Madley sits in P6 with Adam Sharp in P5. Olivier Curtin, or as I think of him, Mr. Strategy Man, is in P4 with Dor in P3. Phil Varley sits in P2 with our pole man being Alex Rogers at the very front of this grid. So yeah, it's usual suspects as always.
Yeah.
Front there, but yeah, a little bit of a change around.
No, it's good. It's good to see. They're still up there fighting away. I think Rogers up there in the front. I think he's in the BMW, isn't he? So yeah, he's done well, and seeing a few more Chevys in the top 10 as well. I think that's to be expected, especially at this sort of track. It seems to be suited for it, and obviously it's American, so
yep.
I'm sure that'll benefit them in some way. Get more freedom out of that engine.
Yeah, the ballast just somehow disappeared. I don't know where it went, mate. It just disappeared.
So yeah, no, it's good to see the usual suspects at the front, and it always produces an entertaining fight. And I think there's lots of people to watch out for this race, and I'm sure we can probably have a quick look at the championship order, maybe.
Well, of course, the current overall championship is as follows. P5 is Alex Rogers with Rigel in P4, Hax is in P3, and Varley in P2 with Curtin in P1. And to be honest, from what we've seen from Curtin, he's just performed, so I'm not too surprised he's in P1. However, Varley trails Curtin by 70 points, so if Varley wins, he will need Curtin to finish P24 or 25, lower than P24 basically, in order for him to win the championship. So it does come down to the very end for a title fight between those two.
Yeah, I think it just shows how consistent Curtin has been. I mean, you just look at the points gap he has to everyone else. It just shows he's finished high in the points on most events. So really showing some consistency and clever calls, really, because that's what you want over the course of a season. You just got to maximize your points all every race and not try and take too many risks. And I think he's really proved that with his strategy calls. His driving style seems to be relatively safe and consistent, and you can see that in the points. But it looks like the rest of the battle from second onwards looks very close, Josh.
Oh, it's super close. Varley he's got 210 points at the moment, but Hax is 202, P4 is 201, Rogers in P5 is 191, and it's just as close further down. Carzolia is in P6 of 178, Binnersley follows in 175, Kai Banks is on 150, and then Madley and Mad Owl, they're currently drawing for P9 with 149 points, so it's anyone's game for P2 at this point, actually. Yeah, it's so tight. So Varley, he may be, he's going to want to fight Curtin and try and get up to P1, but for him, this isn't going to be about battling Curtin. He just needs to finish higher than everyone else. He just needs to get P2 and just go. He doesn't want to fight Curtin.
I think the man under the pressure is Varley, really. He's the P2 man, as we've said, but how close everyone is behind him, just he can easily be leapfrogged in this race. And Caton's got quite a dominant position that he can almost cruise around and just basically try not to get in anyone's way and try not to get tangled up in any sort of incident. And I think that would be my plan if I was in Caton's position, is to just lap consistently and stay out of trouble. But Varley has to really still race as if he's the title depends on it, because he's got to keep a decent amount of points coming through the door, because everyone else is going to be chomping at his feet.
Yeah, if Hax and Rigel, who are the P3 and P4 guys, if they finish in P1 and P2, either order, Varley's lost P2 effectively. Those two will take on P2 if they finish. Will finish. They'll take P2 in the championship if they finish P2 or P1, with Varley down in P3. So it's super close between those. He's going to be keeping his head forward and just making sure that he finishes high. He needs to be ahead of those guys. If he wants to hold on to that position. Yeah.
No, it's going to be a very interesting race, and I think we're probably going to have a trouble keeping on top of where everyone will be in the championship at the end of the race, because there's so many moving parts to this, and there's lots of competitors and over a long race. So I think we'll probably take a look at it at the end and try and make some brief calculations and see where everyone sort of is in relation, and then I'm sure there'll be a full confirmation by RWB of where everyone finished after the race is finished, just because with the incident reports that could occur, sometimes points are deducted. So it is a preliminary result once the race is finished, but then there will be a final announcement once everything's been sorted.
Yeah, here's hoping that it's not too bad. I mean, we love the action, James. We love seeing some crashes, some rubbing his racing, but when it's this close, he's not going to want to be getting caught up in anything like that.
Exactly, and I think cooler heads prevail, and I think these guys are just going to have to keep their calm no matter what, because they have to realise that this is still quite a long race, and anything can happen, as we've seen throughout the season, with people in P1 getting taken out, people Curtin coming through from places like P6 to P1 within the pit stop. It just shows that anything can happen, as we've said, and they just need to remain cool, calm, collected, nailing their laps and not getting any trouble. And I think that's where people will succeed and gain those extra points that to get them above the championship order.
Yeah, I was just really confused there. Janetta looked a bit like a Corvette going over the hill. I was like, I don't remember there being a GT4 Corvette in this. Yeah, it does look really sick in the dusk.
Yeah, it does look cool.
But yeah, it's currently it's just about to tick over into 9:30 in the evening. Well, where we are in the UK, the ultimate country. I'm joking, but yeah, it's currently about to switch over to 9:30, which would mean that the race should be starting soon. It will be a 1 hour 20-minute race, if my memory serves me correctly, and yeah, then we'll get to in about an hour and a half, maybe we'll be able to find out who's actually got P2. Because I think it's safe to say. I'm sorry, Curtin, commentator's curse coming your way, but I think it's safe to say he's got P1 at the moment.
Yeah, you put the bad juju on him, Josh. Now
it's cursed now.
No, I think in theory he's got it in the bag. He just needs to effectively finish, as we said. As long as he's P24, P23 by the end of the race.
If he's P23 or higher, he's got it.
Yeah, no one can beat him, because the only person that could is Varley at that point. So, yeah, he just needs to keep his nose clean, stay out of trouble, finish the race, and he's got it in the bag. And I think that's all he has to think about right now, is just cruising round. He doesn't need to do anything silly. He just needs to stay with the pack, stay in some free air, and be careful around back markers if he does lap any, and then just cruise on home. And do maybe a few little parade laps at the end, waving at the fans. But yeah, no, I think it's the battle for the championship position is going to be from second onwards, really, as we've said, in how close the points are. So yeah, going to be an interesting race. See what these guys do with their strategy calls. But yeah, no, I think everyone's going to be trying their best to get those last points.
Yeah, just going to give a shout out to Martin Pater, who says, "Good evening. Hope for a great race for all." We hope so too. We hope it's going to be an interesting one. It should be entertaining.
Mhm.
Laguna is one of those ones where a lot of the corners, they look like you could go too wide. You can't. Someone always ends up on the dirt. So
Yeah, you definitely have to be careful coming into the corkscrew as well if you've got people around you, because some people can miss their braking markers, and sometimes if they're a little bit offline as well and just go a little bit too deep because of the way that corner is with the crest. If you just go a little bit too late on your brakes, you get deeper into the ABS, and as soon as you go over that crest, you just go light, and then the ABS is kicking in because you can't stop, and then that's where you see a lot of people just go straight on because the wheels aren't effectively just skimming the ground, and then they're coming back down and they haven't braked enough before that crest. So I think that's going to be the corner that is going to cause probably the most incidents, if there are going to be any. But yeah, no, there's definitely some places where you can make overtakes. The last turn, the Andretti hairpin, yeah, a few places like that. You can make some good overtakes, but it is quite a tricky track. But
my bet's on a massive incident at turn 6 and at turn 9 to turn 6. That's
Yeah.
slight left kink. Well, it's that left kink onto the rail straight before the corkscrew. It's you can't go too wide from there. Everyone always ends up on the dirt if you do. And the problem is it's too wide into that. If someone gets a poor run out of turn 5, which is very easy to do, you get alongside them, just go into turn 6. It's not really a braking zone.
Yeah, I think
it's
that
just tight up and people go too wide for it, and you just end up bidding each other off.
Yeah, the strategy for me is be aggressive through the first sector, and then try and make them to defend into turn 5. Because if they defend into turn 5, they go a bit wide, and then you can get you can cut under them and get on the inside for turn 6, and at that point you've got the corner because they've got nowhere to go other than the dirt, because they know you're going to wash out at that point up going into turn 6. Then you've got the corkscrew next, so that would be my strategy call, trying to make moves into 4, 5, and get it done by 6, because if you've got it done by 6, usually you can hold on to it till turn 11. So it's going to be interesting for sure, and these guys know what they're doing, and I'm sure there'll be some close racing throughout, but yeah, Cripple Potato saying blame Charger for the hold up. So we don't worry. We will. It's all good.
It's all good, man. Get that reference. When is the next season coming out? Come on. I just want it to be over with now. I'm tired of Breaking Bad. I'll give a quick run through of the 25 cars that did qualify. We've currently got 29 cars on the grid. So 4 of those guys, they didn't qualify whatsoever during the week when qualifying takes place, because what we just watched was a free practice. So they do qualifying during the week, which is always good. I just noticed, have you seen where they start for the formation lap, James?
Yeah, I noticed that. I was going to say something, but I thought I'd just leave it. But that is a long formation. Very
long, and it's through the corkscrew as well. So hopefully you don't see any George Russells or anything on the way to the start line. But
amazing.
For the grid today, we have in P1 is Rogers with Varley in P2. P3 is Dorr, Curtin in P4, Sharp in P5, Madley in P6, Carolio in P7, Weaver in P8, Banks in P9, and Rigel in P10. P11 is Eugenie with Camaletto in P12, with the 3 Mercs behind them, and that is Binnersley, Sky, and Pinpoint. They're starting in P13 through to P15. Isaac starts in P16, followed by the cars of Gretschel, Sjöblom, Madal, and FX, rounding off the top 20. Andre Mole resides in P21, Audi in P22, Tarbach in P23, Toledo in P24, with Alistair Howell rounding off the guys who qualified. So that's the 25 guys who qualified. On the start grid, we have Toledo in... orders jumbled up here, but we've got Mertens, Charger, Newcomer, and Dave Crew have also joined us for this evening, but they didn't qualify. So yeah, it's interesting.
It's going to be good. I'm excited. I wonder what the weather's going to do, because it's 1 hour and 20 minutes, and how grey it is. But it is nighttime, I guess.
Yep.
Dusk. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. These guys need to start switching their headlights on. So.
Yeah, it would be nice. It's always good to see all the headlights coming on, but it's always fun to see some of the cars not switch their headlights on until they get flashed and they're like, oh crap.
Yeah, no headlights.
That's what I forgot.
Yeah, it's good to see dusk and night races. You see all the the sparks flying and the glowing brake discs and the car spitting flames and all sorts. So it's good to watch. Even on sim racing, they still incorporate some of those characteristics, and it produces some very theatrical shots throughout the race. So very looking forward to this as we go through the corkscrew on the formation lap.
Yeah, I'm still looking at the track map to see if anyone spins off so we can name and shame. It looks like everyone's got through perfectly fine, so we'll see how they do in the race itself. Currently on board with Rigel as they go through their formation lap. Just because, we don't really get to see this POV much on here when it's a formation lap, and you can see the cars getting all bunched, everyone trying to warm their brakes up. Some people don't bother because by the time you get to the straight, they're cold anyway. But these cars, they don't have tyre blankets, the GT4's. So they start on cold tyres, cold brakes, everything is just cold. So we'll see how it goes, but here they go now around the final corner, T11, as they get underway to roll down towards the start-finish line. And we'll see in a second, that's them heading up to the lights now. On the lights are, and that's lights out and away we go. That's a beautiful start from Eugenie and Chevy, but unfortunately gets held up trying to dip a wheel on the dirt. We've got Alex Rogers up ahead in that green BMW. He's leading the pack right now. Well, it looks a bit tight from Varley going into turn 2. Trying not to remember it's turn 1, but that looks like Varley's managed to switch to the outside. Everything looks nice and clean further back. We'll quickly track that quickly. And yeah, everything's smooth through turn 2. But further up ahead, let's have a look at what's happening there.
Yeah, no, it all looks pretty smooth so far. I think everyone's sort of sorted themselves out. Curtin going very wide there, getting a little bit of sideways action in that Porsche. So, he needs to realise he's on cold tyres, just get them bedded in, get them scrubbed in, and get them up to temp because, he's in for a long race and he doesn't want to be making any mistakes whatsoever. So, yeah, no, the pack seem to have sorted themselves out. It's starting to get busier maybe at the back end. You can see 2 wide coming up the straight now between 5 and 6. But yeah, no, on board with Sharp at the moment. Weaver pressuring in behind, coming into the corkscrew, and it's going for a dive down the inside, which is very brave on cold tyres. But it does seem like there's a Chevy off just there. I think that might be Dole actually went wide at the corkscrew, so he's lost a few positions, and he's got Curtin on his inside. So it's all happening. It's all very interesting with the start of GT4 race with those cold tyres. But yeah, everyone trying to sort themselves out.
Yeah, people are still trying to sort themselves out. Audi and Sublum. It looks like Audi's backed out from going too wide into T10, but maybe we'll see Audi go for a dive. No, he keeps it nice and respectful going through T11, keeping it nice and clean. But yeah, they're going to want to get a good run, especially at Sublum, who doesn't want to come under pressure from Audi as they head on towards turn 1. Down through turn 1 they go, about to come up to turn 2. Will he go for a dive? No, luckily he keeps it nice and respectful as well. Not seeing anything too aggressive so far.
It looks like the P1 man has pulled a decent gap. The 119 car of Alex Rogers, he's already got a 2.1 second gap after the first lap, so he's really nailed that opening lap and asserted his dominance in this race. And now Varley's on the back foot. He's got to catch Rogers to try and maintain his championship position and hope that maybe Curtin has an issue or an incident. And yeah, that's the only way he's really going to get P1. But some battles going on further down the grid. We've got Rumble with FXEK, with Mull and Maral behind having a battle. Barnett and Doe having a battle behind. I think Tarbuck's getting involved with that as well. So there's a 4-car train behind FX that are definitely getting involved. Yes, Barnett and Doe are just getting a nice move into the corkscrew, being respectful, but getting it done, and crew having a look in the Audi behind as well. So everyone's getting their, getting their foot in the door now, and getting acquainted with the track and the conditions, and getting those tyres warmed up. And now the racing really begins when the battles ensue.
Oh, I get it, because doors in front of them. Ah, funny. You can already see on the track map, you can see car 150 and car 51. They have pulled a nice gap. So yeah, that's Rogers is comfortably running off ahead with it a little bit, but he's currently P5 in the standings overall, and so he's going to want to take advantage of this because the points for P1 is 10 points ahead of P2. So he's got a nice amount, and currently he could maybe try and get P3 if he really pushes hard now.
Yeah, no, he could definitely. Just needs to just be a bit more aggressive, possibly, and just make those moves. But yeah, no, the racing. I mean, I'm excited. We've still got an hour and 16 minutes to go, and these guys are just getting into the rhythm of the track again and racing with the cars. So it's going to be interesting how everything pans out and who pits first and who tries to pit late. But there's a car off. I think that's car 46 Pinpoint. Ah, so unfortunate. Was running P11, or higher possibly, and has had an incident coming into turn 6. So unfortunate, but that's just the way of the road, Josh, when it's racing. If you have a race without incidents, it's especially an endurance race. It's quite rare, but no. But sad to see because Pinpoint is a good driver, but yeah, it's one of those things.
Whereas Gretschel trying to defend off Mad Al, but Mad Al's currently opened the door as well for FX to try and have a look down the inside into turn 11, but it looks like Gretschel covered him off nicely. That Alpina, it's surprised us, to be honest with its performance. It's a really strange car. You don't expect it to be that quick, but however on the straights it holds its own pretty well.
Yeah, I think it's coming to its own. I think as everyone's got to grips with it, it's getting better and better, and finding the setup. And I think the tracks are getting more suited for the Alpine, and we've seen that before. And Newcomer did a great job at where was it? Bathurst, I think it was, in the Alpine, and yeah, it's a great car, and it can definitely perform and achieve some great results. I'm just looking at Pitwall Live, which everyone has access to in the description of the video. Looking at the top 3, Rogers has a purple Sector 2, Varley has a purple Sector 1, and Curtin has a purple Sector 3. So that just shows these guys are really going for it, and they've each purpled a different sector, and Curtin has just taken the overall purple lap. So Curtin's definitely not backing down from this fight, and he looks like he's in a comfortable position.
Yeah, it kind of begs the question of, should Curtin be pushing this much? I mean, fair enough if you can do it all race, but he doesn't want to, quit. He doesn't want to kill himself at this race, because Varley is in P2, so if he can get closer to P1, he could steal this.
Yeah, I think Curtin, he's putting in some quick laps, and I think that will change over the race. But looking at the gap, he's about a second or so behind P2 man of Phil Varley, and he's about a second ahead of Dordo in P4. So he's in a comfortable position where he can just lap and try not to get in anyone's way. And I think that's where I'd want to be. You can keep tabs on the people in front and behind, but without being under too much pressure. So I think that's probably his thinking at the moment. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Just watching Daniel Barnett going round the outside of Andre Mullen to turn 2 and holding it all the way around without him made the move. Absolutely masterclass right there. Just he knew where the grip was and just went for it. And especially to do that in a Porsche against the Ginetta, that's something else. That's quite a feat to do.
We've seen strokes of genius from Barnett, and he knows how strong that car is and the strengths. I think he's been learning it more and more as he just made a move again on Gretschel there in the Alpine, just down the inside, turn 5. Got the move done, and he's very confident in the grip level of that car. And it's just proven it, in that first sector alone, taking 2 cars pretty much without really too much hassle. And as you say, going around the outside at turn, well, effectively turn 1, but turn 2.
Please don't confuse me, the maps.
That kink on the straight, how they class that as turn 1, I do not know. But yeah, the Andretti hairpin is technically turn 2. So he's very confident in that Porsche chassis now, and yeah, great to see some moves like that.
Fantastic stuff. We can see further ahead the top 7 guys. They've got a very nice gap. You can see on the timing sheets, big gap. I mean, Godzilla's currently 4 seconds off Rigel at the moment. So the guys P1 through to P8, they've got a nice gap that you can just kind of settle into their own rhythm. But we've still got Rigel fighting. Rigel's still trying to fight Jay Madley, as we can see. And yeah, I kind of wonder if Madley should just sit behind Rigel for a bit, or if he may as well just get it on, just go for it.
Yeah, I think Rigel made the move there because Madley was in front, and it just looks like Rigel has a little bit more pace at this opening stage. Maybe Madley hasn't got the car switched on yet, or maybe has a heavier fuel load. Again, we don't know what strategies these guys are on, whether they've gone for a full fuel and just do a 1 litre splash and dash, or whether they're actually gone for a lighter fuel load to be a bit faster in the opening stages. Is all up to them. But again, yeah, I think Rigel's having a little bit more confidence in the car at the moment and able to get around the outside. And it's something to bear in mind is the time of day as well, and the track temperatures, and they're in theory going to be going down. So people might have set their pressures for their tyres to switch on a little bit later in the race, and some may have chosen to switch them on earlier. As you see, oh no, Charger's had an incident at the back there. So yeah, it's a pretty smashed up Aston Martin we're seeing now, so hopefully he can make it back around to the pits and get it fixed.
Well, there's Curtin making a move on Phil Varley into turn 2, and that's Curtin's not starting about, and of course for Varley, he's just watching
Yes,
P1 guy walk off.
exactly. I think what happened there looked like Varley maybe went a little bit too deep into turn 1 and just left the door open for Curtin to just drive on through. So that's what it looked like from as we switched on board with them, and maybe Curtin got the move done in the braking zone. But yeah, I mean, Phil's not going to let it go too easy. You can see he's showing his nose there. You don't want to see him doing a Michael Schumacher and taking him out of the race, because that would be a bit unfair. But yeah, I'm sure these guys will be respectful in their racing because they realise the championship's on the line.
Yeah, just I'm seeing that there's apparently delay in comms. I'd recommend trying to refresh the stream if you are having technical issues with the comms being out of sync. I'm not sure why the comms are out of sync, but from what we're seeing on our end, it looks okay for now. If you're on Twitch, I'd recommend going over to YouTube, as that will hopefully sort it, because YouTube seems to be working fine. Twitch is a bit weird these days. It's always a bit crap at times. But something that isn't crap is the current race on screen right now between Audi and Sky. These guys are just bouncing back and forth on my timing screen that I'm seeing, and of course they're also trying to fight Eugenie and Camaletto ahead. And Binnersley, he's got a little bit of a gap that he can play with. He can work with this. It's not too much pressure from him, from Camaletto, but yeah, it's close stuff with these guys. As you can see, Audi looking all over the place to try and get past Eugenie. Yeah,
Audi's been looking very racy throughout this race thus far, and yeah, always we see a bit of a punt there from Sky behind. Looks like it was all okay relatively, but we don't want to see too much more of that. I mean, that was a good old knock in the rear there into the Andretti hairpin. So yeah, these guys are definitely having a good battle and playing it, playing with the limits of the cars. So I'm sure they'll be doing that throughout the race, as we're seeing. I think that's Tarbuck and Mertens having a good battle into turn 3, and it looks like Mertens got the inside for turn 4. So if he can make it stick, I think he will. Just let it wash out, and yeah, Tarbuck didn't have any opportunity really there to do anything with that. So Mertens got the move done and giving Gretschel a little bit more breathing room as well, with those two battling behind. So I'm sure he'll be thankful of that.
Well, Dave Cruz joining the fight as well. He's currently on the arse of Tarbuck as well. So we'll see what happens with Dave, if he's able to make it. But yeah, he's still sticking on the arse of Tarbuck. So we'll see how that goes further on in the race.
Yeah, Cruz been making a charge through from the back, as you said earlier on. He don't think he qualified, so yeah, he was starting further back, but he's doing a really good job of making his way through the pack. We know he's a good driver. We've seen him make some good moves in the GT3 portion of the league, and now he's making some good moves in the GT4. So looking like he's made a comfortable transition to these GT4 chassis, as well as some of the other drivers have. I have seen Schaublum in P28. It looks like he's been in the pits. I wonder if he had damage of some description, or just decided to go for a really early pit stop. Yeah, he's usually further at the field, so that's an interesting one.
100%. We just saw Newcomer as well make a great pass going into the corkscrew as he tried to pass Toledo, and he made that stick. To be honest, I thought he massively outbraked himself, but somehow he stuck it. I'm just going to try and find some more battles for you guys. We've got Eugenie up ahead, still fighting Dora and Aldi, and of course Sky is joining in as well. Yeah, we saw Aldi kind of get a little bit of a love tap, but it all looks good. But we can see Charger currently parked on the side of the road. I'm not surprised after seeing that damage on the front of his car. It looked absolutely fucked.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a surprise. I mean, he was definitely caught up in something early on. Maybe it was his own doing, or maybe he had like a little tangle with someone else, and it looked like he came out worse for wear. Yeah, that was some big damage. I mean, he went to the pits, tried to get it repaired, but I think he may have just decided enough's enough. And he was, he was starting at the back. He was never really looking to.
He was in it for fun. He was in it for fun.
So he's in it for fun, and if he's not in the race anymore, then if he doesn't want to do it, then he doesn't want to do it. It's up to him.
Yeah, there's no point getting frustrated over
Exactly.
something that's not too important. I mean, he's still points are points, positions are positions. They're bragging rights. If you can say to your mate, beat you. But yeah, it looked like that he was struggling massively with that damage he had on his car. So we'll see what happens with him. Maybe he'll join us again later on, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how he goes.
Yeah, exactly. On board with Binnesley at the moment in that 888 car, switching to doors. This is a big battle going on here. You can see the train that's formed up behind Eugenie. Audi having a good look on door and got the inside. I think that's turn 4 there. So yeah, got the move done, and it's opened the door as well for Sky to have a bit of a look as well. He's got a bad run out, but managed to keep him behind, and these guys have really been going at it. They're really close together and been making some good moves. So yeah, I hope to see a bit more of that throughout the race. Nice little train going.
It's been decent so far, It's can't complain.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there's Charger saying I'm an idiot in the chat. Hi Charger, how you doing? But if you want to join us later on, Charger, be our guest. But yeah, currently fantastic racing up and down. As we see Door going around the outside of Eugenie round a rainy curve, and that's set him up for the inside in the next corner. But it looks like Eugenie's managed to just stick it, and that's given the line perfectly through at turn 10. So nothing too horrific. We can see Door having another look down the inside into turn 11, but I wonder if that's compromised him for Sky going up behind him.
Possibly. I mean, it looks like Audi's on a charge at the moment, and yeah, I think Door just needs to choose an opportunity really to try and make a move on Eugenie, because he's not under too much pressure right now with Sky, but yeah, he's looking for a move on Eugenie. I think Eugenie's lapping a little bit slower than he wants to be, and yeah, it's causing a bit of a train behind him, and you can see these guys scrabbling behind him, so it just shows they've got some pace under them. Yeah,
there's still big battles happening about. We've got Binnesley still having another go. That's him got past Camaletto, actually. Unfortunately, we missed that. I was busy looking elsewhere, but yeah, it looks good. We've still also got Phil Varley under pressure from Door as well. I thought it was quite quiet at the front, but just look now, and yeah, these guys are battling, yo-yoing back and forth. So we'll see what happens between Phil Varley and Door, which it looks promising. Varley, he needs to make sure he doesn't fall backwards, because I mean these are places and these are points that he's losing in the overall championship.
Yeah, no, I can agree. I mean, Curtin's in a great position. He's 5 seconds behind Rogers. He's, Varley and Door are battling hard, and these guys aren't. Door's not going to, let out of anything, and you can see he's even trying to go around the outside at the Andretti hairpin there. He's not going to let a position go if he can have it, and that's just playing into Curtin's hands really, because Curtin's just going to be like, right, I can take this. I'm just going to cruise around now, lap how I want. Make sure I'm consistent, don't make any mistakes, and I can maybe even, we've seen Curtin do it before, but maybe he can even jump Rogers in the pit stop, because we know how tenacious he is with his strategy and having that ability to jump cars in the pit stop. So yeah, I think Curtin is in a very, very comfortable position right now. It's a good thing he's not the lead car, because the way to think about it is the lead car is going to be the first one coming through on the blue flagged vehicles later on, as Door just made the move there into turn 6. Very, very nice move. I see how Varley can answer or return favour and try and pass him again, but it doesn't look like it at the moment. But yeah, with Rogers being the P1 man, he's going to be the first one approaching potential back markers and blue flag cars. Which means they're going to be expecting Curtin to be coming through. I think that's very important, because then Curtin doesn't have to be the first one approaching these back markers, and being the first blue flag of the race, which can sometimes cause a bit of confusion.
Well, here's the thing: right now, Rogers is currently in the perfect position to steal P2 away from Varley in the championship. Just did the quick maths, and yeah, at the moment, Farley losing positions, this isn't benefiting him. He needs to be holding those positions. When he was in P2, he was perfectly safe from Rogers for the number 2 position, but currently it looks like Varley is going to have to be comfortable with P3. It looks like because at the moment, as it stands, that's Rogers in P2 now for the championship.
Yeah, that's a very, very interesting point you've made there. Yeah, Rogers, if he can, as you say, if he can hold that P1, he gains P2 in the championship. So, I mean, Varley maybe succumbing to the pressure a little bit right now. He seems to be going backwards, not forwards. So, I mean, he's already dropped 8/10 away from Door, and he's got Sharp in that Mercedes less than a second behind. So he could be under pressure and falling back even further. Maybe he just chose, slightly wrong tire pressure. You can see that track temperature has dropped another degree in the past sort of 5-10 minutes there. So maybe his pressures are dropping and his overall pace is therefore going to be dropping because he's not going to have as much grip from the car. Maybe the other guys have decided to run the pressures a little higher to bring them into the optimum window later on, and maybe that's what we're seeing. But yeah, not good for Varley at the moment.
It really is, and he's going to be kicking himself over this. But Bindsley's managing to hold off Camaletto quite nicely, as we're seeing on stream now. It looks like someone's gone a little wide at the corkscrew. We can see on the track map. Not too sure who it was. We'll find out when they go across the line. We'll find out who lost all those positions. Just because I swapped the camera to Sky doesn't mean it was Sky. I'm just going to put it out there. But these guys are just pushing and pushing, trying to find any time they can grab, but yeah, it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, it looks like Eugenie's been going backwards a little bit. I mean, we've seen him being passed by Audi and Door, as I think he may be struggling just a little bit with his overall pace at the moment, consistency, and Sky is definitely looking to capitalise on that and try and make a pass. So yeah, these guys are trying their best, but I think it's going to be interesting with these temperatures dropping. Going into the later stages of the race of what people do, because in theory, you could almost see some guys putting a different set of tires on with different pressures in the pit stop to counteract that and give them a bit more grip. They may lose a bit of time in the pit stop, but they may be hemorrhaging time on track with the wrong pressures. So it's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out and if we see anyone come back in the later stage of the race. But Varley's look like to close that gap to Door at the moment. So it was about 8/10, and now he's closed it back up to 2/10. So he's not letting it go yet, and he's definitely looking for that P3 position and getting back on the podium.
Yeah, Door needs to be careful that he's not taking the piss too much. That's given Varley plenty of opportunities to get right up the back of him, and that's perfect slipstream distance for Varley. He just needs to hug the inside. We'll see if he makes a move into turn 2. When they come down now, we use the helicam so we can see everything, but no, it looks like Varley backs out. Well, in enough time as well. But yeah, it's interesting. Varley, I don't know if he's just found some pace, or if he's listening to the stream in the background and is hearing us say, "Varley, come on, pick up the pace, mate. You need these positions."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with these guys fighting as well, you've got to think that Sharp's licking his lip at this point because he's only a second behind or so, and he's he would want these two guys to fight because it might open the door for him and give him some opportunities. But yeah, Varley, trying to pick up the pace now. He seems to drop off through that first sector. I mean, you can see he's back. He was about 0.8 back. 8/10 back from from Door in that last speed sector trap. So yeah, it seems like Varley is stronger through sector 2 and 3 of the track. Which he should really start thinking about using to his advantage and maybe getting a move done into the final corner, turn 11, and possibly compromising Door's run onto the straight. But it does seem that way because Door's struggled to get it stopped for that corner and get it into the apex. So looks like Varley's stronger there and maybe looking for a move into the Andretti hairpin. I think that's probably his best bet.
Yeah, Varley's going to be wanting to go to his positions back. It's the only way he's going to hold on to P2 because right now even if he gets P3, even if Rogers stays in P1, he's still got P2 in the bag.
Yeah.
But it's not looking promising so far. Varley it does look like he's picked up the pace, but we'll see how it gets on. But these guys, this train is still going. This is kind of the point where we see some people starting to dart into the pits, maybe for the early pit stop, to try and get off the traffic a bit and just have some clean air to lap and maybe try the undercuts. But we see some cars in the distance going a little bit sideways.
FX and Mole maybe, or it looks like further back. Yeah, I mean, you know, if you're in a train like that, as you see, I think Audi making the move on Eugenie. Again, I think he dropped back a little bit. So yeah, getting that move done, and Sky has gone through as well on Eugenie. So Eugenie slipping back a bit, doesn't seem to have the car under him that he ultimately did in qualifying, and that's, you know, that's not playing into his hands. He's probably getting a bit frustrated at the moment just with his lack of pace in comparison to his qualifying time. But yeah, no, he's doing a great job nonetheless, representing America in that Chevrolet. But yeah, there's some good racing up and down the grid. But as you say, you know, if you're stuck in one of these trains, is it weird darting into the pits and getting that pit stop done? But then you come out and you could be behind, you know, ultimately slower cars from where you were, and then having to eventually actually battle them for position as well, because they're not going to let you through, and there's no blue flags in that situation. So I think that's why we see quite a few of these guys go a bit longer to try and get a later pit stop, to not have that situation where they're coming out and fighting cars that are maybe a bit more unpredictable and a bit more off pace than they are.
Well, we saw it, what was it, last week, where we had cars fighting for, I believe it was last week, no, it was Suzuka, 2 weeks before, where we had, you know, we had one guy who'd pitted and was fighting for the lead, and then one guy who hadn't pitted, but he was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to have a race and enjoy it, and end up costing that guy for pole, the P1 position. So it's not ideal to go early. The undercut, it works in F1, but this ain't F1, sweetheart. This is proper racing, and you know, they can actually, you know, strategy is everything. We've seen it with Curtin, and yeah, it's just like I say, it's not F1. This is actually proper racing, and you know,
it's actually proper racing.
You know, we can actually rub.
Yeah, exactly. We can have a little bit of contact and get away with it, and the cars in this don't disintegrate with a little bit of rubbing. So yeah, it's great to see, and these guys know that, and they're going to be using that to advantage. But yeah, yes, again, Eugenie just again losing another position to Maral. He really seems to be struggling in that Chevrolet. It's unfortunate because we know Eugenie's a good driver, and he's proven that time and time again. But just seems to be slipping back, and now like FX will probably be thinking, oh, see if I can send this Simply Sausages Aston Martin down the inside somewhere and get another position.
I know I thought I'd say this, but I missed the dildo. Such a good livery from FX, but yeah.
It's pretty amazing. I can't lie.
Seeing Varley, he tried to make a move on Door, but it looks like Door took the position back, going around turn 2. But yeah, Varley going on the grass, he's desperately trying to get those positions back.
Yeah, I think, you know, he's got sharp breathing down his neck, and you know, he knows he's quicker in the sort of the latter stage of the lap, so he needs to get something done in that area, or coming into the sector 1 of Andretti hairpin, because it seems like Door just pulls a little bit, has a little bit more pace through this sort of early sector.
Well, it sucks to suck, but that's what's currently happening for Phil Varley. Looking back at Binnersley trying to fight off Deur, it's really confusing having Door and then Deur. But yeah, it is what it is. Still battling going on between these two. They've been close the whole time, to be honest, Binnersley and Deur.
Yeah, the two German manufacturers, Mercedes and BMW, going at it again as well. You know, these guys are doing a great job with these cars, and it's racing all up and down the grid, and you know, no one's really backing down. They know it's the last round of the championship, and it's all on the line. So I think everyone's going to be fighting tooth and nail for these positions, and I think Binnersley's not one to roll over and give the position to Deur. So yeah, this battle could go on for quite a while.
Yeah, we just need to open the DRS because we are two German manufacturers. But wow, we need some DTM back.
DTM. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a shame that the DTM program's going the way it's going, but unfortunately, that's just trying to move with the times. I think it's just the lack of interest from manufacturers and people pushing into electric stuff. It just, you know, it's becoming a bit more unfavoured. So, I mean, it's great racing. It's great to watch, and they're effectively just, monocoques with silhouettes of cars. But yeah, I mean, this GT4 stuff and GT3 stuff's a bit more bit more like the road cars, and actually these pretty much are road cars, just with a few things bolted onto them. So it's great to see them racing on track and all these different manufacturers competing against each other.
100p's. Yeah, it is a shame that kind of DTM is going a similar way that LMP1 is, in the way that they're kind of just getting sidelined because no one's interested in them. It doesn't make car manufacturers any money, and the technology that is being developed for them, it's not massively radical or anything.
Yeah, I think we saw with the LMP1 stuff, the people pushing away from it. But now with the new hypercar regulations, I think it's definitely attracting a lot more manufacturers. We've seen Ferrari just signed up. Porsche said they want to come back and do it. We've got Toyota back doing that. You've got outfits like Glickenhaus going for it as well. So lots of different people up and down, all from around the globe, and manufacturers getting involved with that new hypercar program. I think it's it's going to possibly take off and do a great favour to the sort of the motorsport industry as well as the automotive industry, because they'll have to possibly produce some homologation variants of those cars, which they don't have to do for DTM or any of these other series really. As we see that Dua just sending it on Binnersley there into the Andretti hairpin and getting it done, so that he has confidence in that car, knew he was going to make the move, committed to it, and got it done. I think that's part of racing. You've just got to commit to the move, and usually if you're committed, the other person has to really move out of the way. So that's what we saw there. Now Dua's going to be chasing Camaletto.
Oh, you hear that, Crawford? You should have backed on, mate. It wasn't my fault yesterday, was it? So up yours. Duher had all the confidence there, making a move on Binnersley. So yeah, it wasn't very surprising that move coming along.
I think when you're the aggressor and you show that you're committing to a move, it often it means the other person's can move out of the way or try something else. I mean, if you're making like dummy moves and stuff, it can often mess with the person in front's head, and you can go about it two ways. I mean, you can try and mess with their head doing dummy moves and make them make a mistake, or you can actually try and make a big move on them and they just accept that you've taken that position. But it looks like FX just dropped back a little bit there, and that simply sausage bastard. So I wonder if he had a little incident or dipped a wheel at turn 6 on the exit and just lost a bit of time. So still battles going up and down the grid, and a few mistakes now starting to creep in from a few people.
Duhur and Binnersley still going at it up in P10. Sorry, P11. It looks like Binnersley, he's not too happy that Duhur took that position away from him. I think he probably feels a little cheated that he left the door open for Duhur to go through. But yeah, they're still getting right up in close. That Beamer, I thought it would be have a bit more grunt on the straight than the Merc, but that Merc seems to be keeping up quite easily with it.
Yeah, no, the Merc is a pretty good all-rounder, and I mean, it's shown throughout the season they've been consistent, and there's been a few of them in the top 10 finishes, and the Beamers as well. They're a great all-rounder and they're a great car, and they usually have some good pace on the straights. So yeah, no, there's different strokes for different folks. So what you want in a car, and you've got the Ginetta, a bit more plucky and lightweight, and you've got some of the bigger stuff which is a bit more grunty, and you sort of got to drive around the problems in the corners, as FX is trying to get down the inside of Mertens there, and tries to commit to a move, but Mertens just looks a bit more confident and keeps it around the outside and keeps the position. It looks like FX is going to lose another one to use that mole. So yeah, unless he can make it down the inside at the corkscrew, but Mole's got the inside for the right-hander. And it looks like we've had someone off there. I just saw some headlights off at corkscrew. I think that might be Barnett. That's unfortunate. He was looking to go forwards, and he's just lost all those positions he's gained, really. So he's got to do it all again, and with a bit of damage possibly. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the pits, possibly getting that repaired.
Well, it's the way of the road. We've got the pit window open. That's been open for a while. Can see Toledo's in. I was about to say Charger's in, but it looks like Toledo and Charger. Well, we know Charger's retired from the race, but it looks like so is Toledo, as he's 8 laps down. The only person who has pitted is Schaublom. He's the only one who's pitted, so I wonder if he got damage or something, hence his early pit. But we see FX going on the grass, taking his joker lap, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, taking his joke lap. Yeah, no, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, the pit is quite interesting here. I mean, they've really got to think about that exit because it's quite a long pit exit that brings you out on the exit of the Andretti hairpin. So you sort of run parallel to the track and with cars going past you, and it can be quite daunting actually. And you've got to actually get it stopped and turned, and it's quite a complicated pit exit. And if you can mess it up, you're on the dirt, and you've got dirt on your tyres, then you've got to get rid of all that. So that's going to be an interesting perspective when we see more and more of these guys come in and trying to get a good release from the pits. It's going to be interesting to see how they get on.
Oh, please say dirt for me one more time.
Maybe later, Josh.
It's after hours.
Censored.
Well, we are beyond the watershed. That's not really become a problem recently, has it?
No, not at the moment. I think everyone's just, knocked down and set in, and the watershed starts at 11 o'clock when everyone gets on the beers, I think. So, 11 o'clock in the morning, that is.
We're seeing Phil Varley collapse of that curb, and that's given Sharp. That's given Sharp an excuse to go ahead. He's going backwards. This isn't good.
I think Varley's feeling the pressure. He's making more mistakes than I've seen him make in the championship. So he just seems to be going backwards at this point. It's unfortunate. I mean, he's a great driver, but yeah, just making these little errors and just turned in. It looked like he turned in a little bit too early for turn 6. So yeah, lost another position to Sharp, and now Rigel is got it locked in and going to be hunting him down.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. For those of you watching, well, we've not seen anyone speak for a while. What's going on? It's everyone talk to us now. But what do you think? What do you think Varley's chances are of getting back up there?
I think you just need
to James Cal Racing. That's just put it in the YouTube or the YouTube chat. We don't really monitor Twitch because Twitch is just a nightmare and a half, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think Varley just needs to calm himself down, regroup, reassess the situation. I just drive to the best of his abilities and not overdrive the car, because I think that's a situation where you can get into the wrong headspace when you're losing positions, and then you become frustrated and you lose motivation, and it becomes your head sort of drops in the seat, and then you start going backwards even more, and then it just you end up in this downward spiral. So I think Varley needs to just recover from that, reset, and he's gone wide again at turn 6. He's having a nightmare with that Aston Martin and spun it as well. I think he's really feeling the pressure in that car. I'm sure he'll be punching the steering wheel right about now. That's really
I'm surprised he's not ripped the wheel off right now. That's not what we wanted to see from Varley, because he is a really good driver. Like we've seen it before, he can perform. But I
feel for him.
It's a pressure of the setup or what. That car just is not behaving the way he wants it to.
I feel for him, because I've been in situations like that where you just you push in and you've gone back, and then your head drops and you just lose that sort of edge that you have been up at the front, and he's just making mistakes, and it's just so unfortunate to see. He just needs to, as I say, just regroup, reassess the situation and just drive to what he can. And I think it might be a case that his tyres are going off and he's not got them in the right window. And I've experienced that as well. It's so frustrating when you're losing time because you haven't got the right pressure in your tyre. It is the worst feeling, both in the sim and in real life. So yeah, hopefully he can start fighting back up the field.
Here's hoping. But yeah, it's not looking promising so far. I think he's just having an absolute nightmare. We see Binnersley has made a move on. Audi's made a move on Binnersley. That finally happened between those two. But
yeah, I think it was Dora and Binnersley were fighting, and it looks like Binnersley's dropped back, so he's lost 4 seconds or so to Dor, and then Audi's now jumped Binnersley as well. So it looks like Binnersley may be nursing an issue. It looks like Sky's just gone down the inside of him as well at turn 5, and he has. I think he should have this nailed if he can just get through turn 6 and up to the corkscrew. He's got that move done really, but yeah, it just looks like Binnersley's just lost that little bit of pace. Maybe just struggling with tyres or something. He just seems to be slipping back now.
Yeah, it's not even he's a fuel save or anything at the moment. We've got Andre Mole and Tarbuk still fighting it out. These guys, they've been bouncing back and forth for what I've been seeing on the timing screens. But yeah, it doesn't seem like too many positions exchanging between those three guys.
Yeah, I mean, those two, the same car, they know where the strengths and weaknesses are of the Janetta, so they'll know where they can attack and defend and place the car, and know how good each other are, and they seem relatively similar paced. Crew, again, I think he's coming through the field. We saw him earlier, he was like P23, so he's definitely coming through a bit more, but some guys maybe going in the pits or retiring, so yeah, he's making moves. He's P18 now, he's 3 seconds behind Mertens. It'll be interesting to see if he can catch up, and it looks like Mertens has possibly made a mistake there, because it looks like Crew's right on the back of that Mercedes. Yeah, the exit at turn 11 there, you can just see Mertens looks like he's dropped back and made an error, so yeah, this might be a theme of the race here. It seems to be more and more errors are coming through as the race goes on. Maybe it's just the conditions, or people, it can happen. It's the last round, and people start losing their heads, and I've seen it before. You just lose the sense of perspective and start pushing too hard. So maybe that's the case for some of these drivers.
It's cutting when it happens, but it happened last in the first round. Well, first half of this round. When we saw them in the GT3s, towards the end we just saw more and more accidents being made, and it seems like it's weird because you kind of think of fatigue as being in a single race, but it happens throughout the season. They just lose engines. We see Crew going up the inside and giving a little barge on Mertens. Hopefully it's not too bad for Mertens, the damage, but yeah, that's him lost three places.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, we don't want to see that, but I think that's the nature, as you said, that's the nature of that corner, Josh. That's turn 6, and you said that would happen earlier on. That person on the inside, he's got nowhere to go really apart from that exit point, and if you're on the outside there, you're going to get pushed off. So yeah, that was unfortunate, but not unexpected. But yeah, people making mistakes, it's just not what you want, and there's possibly another one from Shepherd, unless he's decided enough's enough and is possibly going to retire to the pits, but. Yeah, sort of a weird place to be. It looks like he spun at the exit turn 6 there, so see what happens with him. But yeah, I think people are
on the move, so yeah, it's all good.
I think people are just losing their heads, and as you say, we saw that at the end of the GT3s, and now we're seeing it a bit more at the GT4s, making those little mistakes that are costing them some big points. So yeah, see what happens. And Camaletto is doing a great job, still in the top 10 and looking to go forwards.
Well, that's Alex Rogers now in the pits, our P1 man. That's quite an early pit stop relative to everyone else. I wonder if everyone was waiting to see what Rogers did, and that's him in the pits now. So hopefully we'll start seeing more and more people go into the pits, because we've just passed the halfway mark. But yeah, I wonder if that was the right move for him, because I mean, we've seen from Curtin, he will just keep going and going and going and going.
It's 10 minutes.
So he's still got a while for Curtin. So I wonder if Curtin will just pull out P1. But that will hurt Rogers' chance of getting P2 off Phil Varley, especially if Phil Varley can make it make his car go forwards in terms of positioning.
Yeah, exactly. I'm very surprised with Rogers' pit stop at this stage. To be the first one, pretty much, out the top 22 to be pitting. It's quite surprising, and it's going to be interesting to see where he comes out, because in effect he's going to have to fight through all this traffic. And I mean, I've seen Rogers pit around this time quite a few times actually, and throughout the races. But yeah, I thought maybe he would have looked at what everyone else was doing, and seen if it worked or didn't, and it looks like the later pit stops usually favour the front runners. So interesting to see where he comes out. Is that P15 he's in? Just want to see.
Yeah, it looks like he's out in P15. He's found a beautiful window, to be honest. But yeah, being asked by Martin Pater, what the hell happened to Billy? Billy, unfortunately, his car was absolutely fucked. The front end was just mashed up. To be honest, he looked like a burn victim, to be honest, at the front of that car. So it was just horrific. But yeah, he's retired, I'm afraid, Martin. So yeah, it's not good for him.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the relative pace difference between Rogers and the cars around him, and it seems like he's about a second faster than the cars around him at the moment. So on average lap times. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can make his way back through the field, because that's going to be interesting for sure. And again, that's why I think O'Kane generally favours that later pit stop, so he doesn't come out amongst potential cars he's going to have to race as well. I mean, Rogers is going to have to race those cars. But you can see he's P15. It means the pack is still quite bunched up, even after half distance. You know, usually P1 man drops down to like P8, and he's dropped down to P15. So it just shows how close everyone is.
Yeah, it just looks, and it looks like Shepherd has retired from the race after his crunch at turn 6 that we saw with him being parked on the side of the road. So that is unfortunate. Camaletto is still under pressure from De Hoor. De Hoor seems to be putting a lot of people under pressure, actually. He's really good at this and putting the pressure on and keeping it there. But we've also got Andre Mol, who's being battled for position by Simon Mertens behind in that 851 Mercedes. These two, they're not in... they're in a different tiering. James, you forgot to mention the tiering, man. What are you like?
Well, we've got so much time to mention it. I mean, you know, we can go over it now if you like, Josh. Yes.
Go for it.
So at the start of the championship, we had 2 tiers that were in this championship, just because of the level of cars and the amount of drivers. So when they were in GT3 spec cars, there was a tier 1 class and a tier 2 class. And now moving into the GT4's, we've managed to push both of those grids together to form one grid, but they're still racing for their respective classes. So on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see that some of the cars are in the white or silverish numbers. So, you know, Caden has got the 86, and that's got a white background, silverish background. So that means he's in the tier 1 bracket. And then if you see the cars with the red background on their number, that means they're in the tier 2 bracket. So it doesn't necessarily mean that AMs or pros or, you know, platinum drivers or whatever. It just means what tier they're competing in. So Rigel is effectively P1 in tier 2, and Godzilla, is, as we're seeing on board now, is P2 in tier 2. So yeah, that's something that's been going on for the GT4 grid throughout. So yeah, just want to bear in mind as well that we have effectively 2 podiums.
Yeah, but me being me, I only looked at overall podiums. So
yeah. I mean, that's what counts, doesn't it, Josh? Really.
I'll go back and have a look and see who's what and who's where. But yeah, at the moment, well, the camera work is it's kind of dying down, to be honest. About the gaps are building up as people go into the pits.
Yeah.
To try and get into clean air, but it's still.
I think it's going to quiet off now, you know, for a period until everyone sort of, you know, got their pit stops out of the way. I mean, you know, some of the guys might make mistakes in the pit stop. Some of them maybe nail it and then bring packs together again. So, I mean, there's still some battles going on, and you know, we're watching that now. We've got Rigel close behind Door. It's been closing. Is that Rigel? Oh no, it's a lap car. Never mind. Yeah, no, these packs broken up a little bit now, so we can have a bit of a chat, Josh, and wait for the battles to resume.
What do you want to chat about, Mr. Kill?
Oh, I don't know. Have you enjoyed the season thus far? I think we've seen great racing. You know, any particular highlights?
Well, currently one of my highlights right now is watching De Hoor trying to battle Camaletto. Camaletto, he's still sitting pretty, but you see De Hoor going very wide, kicking the arse out onto the dirt, with Camaletto giving him the opportunity, but that BMW is just so powerful, and it doesn't seem to have phased his straight line speed whatsoever. But yeah, my overall, I think. You said overall in the championship, so one of my top moments was watching Imola back in the GT3s. That was absolutely fantastic. Especially, like, we had P1 man Solheim. He looked strong, and I think we wrote him off as like the P1 man. Like, I don't think we had any doubts whatsoever that he'd win it. And then, boom, he was out. Yeah. Then we had Curtin, who just out of nowhere. I mean, I didn't even realise he was in P1 until you pointed it out. I was like, "What the? Are you kidding?" Like,
I think that was
did that happen?
I think that was possibly one of my highlights, was Curtin in that first round, just coming out of nowhere. You know, Solheim having dominated the sort of the first like 2/3 of the race or more, even 3/4 of the race, and leading everyone, and then Curtin out of nowhere just making that strategy call and coming out P1. I think that was one of my sort of highlights. And I really enjoyed seeing that. I was like, wow, we were both really confused, and we were like, is there something wrong, or like, how's he got from, I think it was like P6 to P1? It was like, wow, it sort of blew us all away. So yeah, he's been doing that ever since, and we've seen some great racing and throughout, and some great moves. I think I enjoyed some of the Suzuka racing, and we saw a lot of close racing there, in the GT4's, and I think that was one of the earlier rounds in the GT4's.
Yeah, that was
as well.
brilliant.
It was like we were like loving it. I think it was one of the first rounds, so it produced some great racing. Definitely one to watch back if you want to look through the championship thus far. But yeah, these guys have been putting on a good show for us for a number of weeks now.
100 Ps.
It's more months actually.
Yeah, I know. We've got FX. He's just been given a stop go 30 seconds. That will 100% be from speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah.
Which you know a lot about, don't you, from the Constructors Championship?
I know a lot about it in many senses of the word, Josh.
How many times?
I think it was about 3 times. I got stopped go 30-second penalty about 3 times at Bathurst. I don't know how. I just
a rookie.
Yeah, I just bottled it. But in the next race, and I haven't had another one since, so I learned my lesson. But I'm sure I'll get another one at some point. It seems to be a way of the road when it comes to ACC. But yeah, a lot more people coming in for their pit stops now, so it looks like a few packs have closed up a little bit.
Yeah, it's surprising how open up the packs get. It looks like Gretschel went a little bit wide to let a faster car through. But that's also let Pinpoint go through, it looks like. Yeah, that's Pinpoint come through as well.
Yeah, so he's opened the door, and maybe he thought that Pinpoint was a blue flag car, and actually it was for position. I mean, that's how you can get a little bit confused, especially at this this time of night. Is like you only see headlights in your rear view. You don't see a silhouettes or colours or shades, which sometimes you can associate with certain drivers or cars. So yeah, maybe just Gretschel getting a bit confused there and just left the door open for Pinpoint to come through, and I think Pinpoint will be thanking him for that later on.
Yeah, I don't think he was expecting to let. I don't think Pinpoint is expecting Gretschel to leave the door that open. But it just shows, like you say it all the time, James, that you can just use lapping traffic to your advantage. You can use any traffic to your advantage.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can use it to your defense, attack. You can let guys through to make moves on the guys in front of you and throw them off. Possibly, it's a very much strategic game of how you want to go about negotiating traffic, and it's definitely something you have to think about and plan out. And you can almost think 3, 4, 5 corners ahead. If you can see a car closing in on you, where you'll want to let him past, and then where you can maybe use him to capitalize on the car in front of you that you might be batting for position. So lots to think about when you encounter lap traffic, or if you're being lapped. So yeah, it can really work in your favor if you can use it wisely.
Gretschel's effectively a backmarker for Audi, but they're on the same lap, so he's entitled to battle it out, and we saw this. I believe it was Suzuka, yeah, when.
I think it might have been actually. It might have been Kyalami with Snail Train, and it was Snail Train and Kyalami in that Porsche, and I think he had I think it was Varley possibly behind him. I think. So I think Varley lost out a few positions on that as well. I think off the top of my head, but yeah, no, he's fully entitled to battle him, and I think all power to you. You may as well. You're in it to race, so get the elbows out. And obviously a drive-through for Eugenie, so his race going from bad to worse. He's been dropping down the order and does not want that drive-through at all.
Indubitably. So I'm trying to think of other words, but it's definitely 100 Ps. Yeah, we've still got these guys battling out. I'm also seeing further ahead on the cams. Let me get this right. No, not that one. Jesus. I've just got like a million numbers in front of me. Here we go. We've got a nice pack of faster cars going through slower traffic. So that's Curtin going past. It looks like Sublum But yeah, it's just, you've also got FX as well there, so that's another layer of lap traffic, because FX is also a lap down from Sjöblom. So
Yeah,
it's 3 people on 3 different laps.
it's blue flag o'clock, I think. So yeah, I think these guys are possibly getting a little bit confused around each other, but okay, Caton doing a great job of getting through there without being unscathed, and you can start to see the glowing exhaust and the fireballs coming out of Pinpoint's Mercedes there as he's chasing down Sky in an equally matched car. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys can negotiate this battle. But it looks like Sky dropped back a bit. Oh, it might just be because of the pit stop. Never mind.
Yeah, he's pitted.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see where these guys come out with Godzilla in the pits now in P7 currently. So he'll be dropping back a little bit, but showing good pace throughout. So it's going to be an interesting one. Looking forward to see what happens.
Currently seeing Crawford and Cos having a discussion about the Macca. The Macca GT4, that is. I like the GT3 Macca, but the GT4, get in the bin. I've already had many rants, but we're seeing car 409 has spun off at turn 6. I told you it would all be over there, but that's the BMW of Audi in the wall.
Oh, he's doing so well. And he's already pitted as well, so he can't use his pit to advantage to repair. Oh, that's so unfortunate for Audi.
Yeah, he's busy on the wall going, what the fuck did I just do?
Yeah, you did say turn 6. I mean, getting on the throttle, you can definitely turn the car around, and we've seen that a couple of times now. And even the top guys, Varley going wide there twice, with laps back to back, doing the same mistake. So these guys definitely pushing as hard as they can. But
it's the unsuspecting sausage curb. I've got my crystal ball right in front of me, and I'm telling you, I'm just a god at seeing everything. I've got a second sight, I swear.
Yeah, I have to admit that sausage curve does definitely catch people out, especially you think you can turn in and use the camber and grab loads of the apex, and then you realise, oh crap, there's a sausage curve right there. So
on the left now, you can see that little sausage curve. It's so sneaky because you think it's part of a track, especially at night, but oh boy, do not touch it because it will absolutely shaft you.
As we're seeing quite a few, the cars getting shafted by it. So it's definitely an interesting corner. And then you got to get a good run out there up the hill as well to keep the cars behind going into the corkscrew. So it is quite a crucial corner to get right. And if you get it wrong, you get it wrong in a big way.
Yep.
Was that the vape going there, Josh?
No, I don't do that. In the house, at least. Not in the house. I'm not disrespectful or anything. I don't take the piss, but someone who might be taking the piss out of Camaletto is Dua. He's still on the back of him, handing him all the way around the circuit. These two, they've both pitted as well. Yeah, they're still together. They just can't be separated. But yeah. Maybe they should give me some relationship advice.
I'm just looking at the timing board currently. It looks like Madley's just put in a green lap, so that's probably one of his best laps. And it was, let's have a look. It was a 10th faster than Varley's last lap. So it looks like he's showing intent there, Madley in P6 currently, looking to chase down Varley. And if Varley keeps making the mistakes that he has been, he could possibly lose another position to Madley. He looks very confident in that Porsche.
He could end up dropping down to P4. He could end up losing out on the championship at this rate.
Yeah, I didn't realise he lost a position to Weaver actually. He's something's shaken up at the front, but yeah, it's interesting. Alex Rogers, I will point out, Josh, Alex Rogers P9, Sharp in P7 has pitted and is ahead of Rogers, so I don't think that early pit stop for Rogers has done him any favours. Varley might still be in the fight for that P2 position.
And there's a hefty gap between Sharp and Binnersley at the moment, but we're seeing Rogers on our timing screen about to make a move. Oh, he's already done the move. He's already made a move from Binnersley. I'm too slow on the ball.
Yeah, the timing screen does that. It's just a little bit delayed, but yeah, no, I mean, they're not going to be giving any positions away, are they? Really? So they're going to be battling hard. just this battle going on with Camelot and Tahura, I think it's going to be going on for a while. They seem quite evenly matched, and they both pitted, so it is for position.
I just want to point out when Rogers goes through the next timing gate, you can see that there's a massive gap. 14.4 seconds Rogers has lost to Sharp.
That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah, I think he really maybe balls that up with the early pit stop and coming out amongst cars that are ultimately held him up a little bit. So I think we said that, didn't we? That'll probably be the case, and that's why these front guys usually pit a bit later on. And yeah, I think it's playing into Varley's hands a little bit more because he just needs to beat Rogers. But again, we need to have another look at the championship standings because I think Rigel's up there and as well as a few others. But Kit, currently P1 and you know what he's like with the pit stops, and if he can pull this off as he usually does, he could stay P1.
Well, someone who may be able to help us with this, give some input, is Charger or Bill Jones or Billy, as Martin Peter likes to call him. So, hi Charger, how you doing?
I'm not too bad. How are you bumbling prawns?
We're just enjoying life, But yeah, we saw your car absolutely crunched at the front. Can you tell us what happened?
Do you want the official team statement or do you want my statement?
Let's go with the official statement, then we can compare the two.
Well, we had a major mechanical failure on the rear suspension arm. After we touched the oh, someone's just gone off there.
That happened to them as well.
Camelot.
And lost the back end and hit the wall.
Oh,
yeah,
what's your version then?
I fucked up.
All right.
Yeah, no, your car definitely looked heavily damaged. And I think we sort of said, is you kept going, is he going to get it repaired? And then we realised that you just decided, screw it, I've had enough already.
It was the first corner as you come off the second corner, the right hand curb there. 3 times I hit it. Twice I held it. The third time wasn't the charm. So
yeah, some of these corners are quite tricky, and we've been saying that about turn 6 as well with the sausage on the apex just before the corkscrew, the corner before going up the hill. So there's been a few mistakes there from even some of the front guys making mistakes. So it's definitely everyone's getting quite on edge, especially with the last round of the championship.
Yeah, Laguna's a tough track anyway, and to be honest, with all my PSU failure, brake failure, headset failure as well. I've just got a new headset today, so I've had no time in the seat, so it's piss poor preparation on my part. So.
That's all right.
I was given a setup just before the grid started, literally. And I did go into the pits to get repaired and put bleeding wet tyres on. So yeah, well, it's just a comedy of errors. So, yeah.
Amazing. Well, yeah, it was unfortunate to see, but obviously you're here chatting with us now, and yeah, we were just talking about the championship standings, and Curtin's definitely, if he can finish in P1, well, if he can finish anywhere above P, was it 23?
23,
yeah, he's basically got the championship in the bag, so he's looking really comfortable. But yeah, we were mentioning Varley in P2's sort of bottled it in a couple of situations, but is possibly on the comeback and is looking to maintain that P2 position. So yeah, I don't know how you feel about all these guys in the championship, and who deserves what.
I try not to look at the championship standings because it makes me cry, but yeah, I mean, some of these guys have stuck, at the GT3, GT4, the 8 weeks, and fair play to them. And if they're in the top 3, they deserve it. They we might give them something for the trouble. You never know.
I mean, they've been doing a great job, and some of these guys have been super consistent. It just shows, Curtin in P1 at the moment at the Porsche, he's 70 points ahead of Varley in P2, so he's shown some super consistency and has actually pitted a little bit earlier than he usually does, to be honest, usually around the 10-minute mark. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where he comes out amongst the rest of the field. This could be very interesting because Rogers, I think, made a bad call with that pit stop, and Sharp did a better job with it, so it could definitely determine the outcome of the race.
I was wondering what happened to Alex because he was leading the race, wasn't he, before the pit?
Yeah, Alex pitted quite early in comparison to everyone else. He pitted around the halfway mark, and not many people had been in the pits yet. And we sort of said that was quite a strange strategy because it meant he was going to be coming out amongst drivers who didn't, weren't being shown blue flags and didn't really have to yield positions to him. And the relative pace between him and people he was coming out around was about a second faster. So a lap. So it's going to throw him off and slow him down, and it has shown that because was it Sharp in P7 and the Mercedes jumped him in the pits, and it looks like Curtin in the Porsche has done the same as well. So yeah, I mean, it's very unfortunate because he had a quite comfortable lead. Rogers did about 8 seconds or so over Curtin. So yeah, quite unfortunate.
Curtin's massively in the lead though currently. Adam Sharp, who's currently kind of our P2 man in terms of pit stops, he's only just going through T6 now, and there's Curtin already gone through the corkscrew going around Rainy Curve. So he looks quite comfortable, and Curtin does always look really comfy in these kind of situations. So
yeah,
I think he's won this easy.
Yeah, he's cool, calm, collected, and it just shows. I mean, he's just putting in laps. He doesn't care. He's just not making mistakes, and it shows in his championship position. The point haul he's gained over everyone else, and he just seems really happy out in that car and lapping consistently, and that's what you need to sort of be at the sharp end of the championship. So yeah, he's done a great job throughout the season, and at the moment, if he just cruises home to whatever position he finishes in, he's got the championship in the bag. So definitely one to watch. But yeah, shame for Alex Rogers there in P8 currently. Yeah, he's lost a few positions under the pit stop, so maybe he can race his way back through the field a little bit more, but we'll see.
Well, I finally looked at the Tier 2 championship standing. It looks like Rigel's comfortably in P1 in terms of Tier 2.
Yeah. Yeah,
well, we're not throwing accusations or anything, but yeah, it looks like he's done that.
Very partial
accusations here.
No, Rigel's been doing a great job in Tier 2, but yeah, I think he was up the sharp end. I think he was about P3 actually, when even before the pit stop. So he's shown some great pace, especially in the GT4 cars. So yeah, no, it's all been good racing, and I think everyone's enjoyed the championship. Have you enjoyed the championship thus far, Charger?
I halfway, obviously, until I had my issues, but yeah, I was enjoying it. I don't know how I was doing in the first. I think you said it earlier, Chief. I'm just in it for the fun.
Yeah.
I just love pack racing, so I do quite like the GT4's. I mean, we've got the new series coming up, which has got the British tracks in, which I'm really familiar with those, so I'm hoping I can come. Get a fairly decent position. So
yeah, I like the British tracks. I think they're good.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder. I kind of know them okay. So yeah, no, I do like the new DLC, and the tracks are really good. Actually, they're a good representation of what the British tracks are. So. Hopefully more of those to come in the future in the championships as well. I think it'll be good to see the RWB guys out at places like Donington and Alton, produces some great racing. So yeah, I'm excited for what the next few championships coming up, I guess.
Yeah, you're not going to have anyone to commentate because I know James is going to just jump at the chance to do the British one, and I'm kind of. Well, I'm looking forward to the British, but I'm also looking forward to NER Factor 2 because, geez, that was absolutely great fun, the last one.
Yeah. Your rage quitting last night.
Well, it was... Okay, I can tell you the true story behind that. So I got into a little incident with Crawford, who's in the YouTube chat, and he was arguing that it wasn't his fault. I was arguing it was. But we didn't realise that the replays were saved after the race, so he was giving me all this lip while going around. I was like, you know what, this is just stupid, so I just pulled over to the side of the track and left to go look at the replay and tell him to basically shut up. It turned out we were both wrong.
It was a bit 50-50, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 50-50 at the end. But I still loved it. I absolutely love R Factor. It just makes more sense to me. I can't get my head around the ACC tyre stuff, which kind of shows in my pace on the ACC leagues. I'm always like, middle.
Yeah,
Bottom middle.
I do think the R Factor 2 sort of physics is quite good actually, especially the tire stuff and the feel of the cars, especially some of the aero cars as well. They feel really, really good, and they seem to have nailed that and been refining it over the years. And it's probably one of the closest, I'd say, sim wise to real life. It feels really nice to drive, and yeah, it's quite a pleasant simulator. And ACC do a great job as well. I think the racing's always close in ACC, which is good. But I do love the multi-class setup you can have in R Factor with the LMP cars and the GTE cars, etc. So
I don't think there's a lot of people who, especially the GTE drivers, who will agree with you about the multi-class stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things, but it is great to watch and great to race in my opinion. So, Eugenie's having a nightmare of a race. Nightmare. We've seen him up the front, like in the top 10, and he's just been dropping back and back, and I think he's really struggling with that car. So it's such a shame to see him drop down like that.
He's usually pretty consistent. I had a good race with him on R Factor 2 last night, actually.
Yeah, no, we were saying that because Eugenie is a quite consistent driver, and it just seemed like he hasn't got the car in the right window, or something maybe awry, because he just kept slipping back, and people were making moves on him where he would usually be able to defend and pull away again. And it just seemed like he's struggling with the car tonight. So very unfortunate for him. I don't know how that'll affect his championship standings, but I don't think he's really thinking about that right now. I think he'll be just trying to get back in the race and possibly thinking about getting the car fixed. But yeah, Kane looking like he's in a dominant position in that Porsche, but Weaver still needs to pit at P1.
He's going very long, isn't he, on his pit?
Not long left now, so he's going to pit within the next couple of laps, because he's only got 4 minutes and 38 seconds on the pit stop window. So all to play for.
It was his setup that I got actually 2 minutes before the race started. Yeah, so I blame Tom.
Fair enough.
Actually, the car felt pretty good. He was just always shit in it.
Yeah, I do find it interesting how each person does this. You see like the characteristics of their setups, and when you have someone else's, it isn't sometimes quite to your taste, and you've still got to mess with it a little bit to your driving style. So it shows that you can do there's more than two ways to do something in this game, especially setup. So yeah, it's quite interesting to see how everyone goes about that and tries to extract the most performance from the car.
Yeah, the difference is you and I had, James, when we were doing the AC League many moons ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Massively different setups. Yours were not to my taste. I have to. I can't lie, really.
If it's not twitchy, it's not worth driving. That's all I'm saying.
I do prefer more of a neutral setup. I don't like about 10 clicks on the rear anti-roll bar.
I always find the setups are very subjective, obviously for people's driving style, but also the way they've got their actual bases set up. Not everyone's bases are the same, so in an ideal world, everyone would have the same and everything should be the same, but setups just don't work across different wheels.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. I found that with my pedal and wheel combo, I have slightly different setups to other people that sometimes become a bit undrivable for some people, a bit understeery for some people, where I can get the car to rotate with what I have. But I have been doing a bit of iRacing of late, and the fixed setup situation in some of those championships is you can sometimes pull your hair out a little bit, because you get in a car and it's not to your taste and you can't really do anything about it. You've got to drive around the problems that you're encountering. So I mean, it does mean it just comes down to the driver, but yeah, you can definitely get a bit frustrated by that. And it looks like, just looking on screen now, and it looks like who's that? Godzilla made an error there, exit the corkscrew, and that's given the position to Madley. So another one through, but yeah, fixed setup's interesting. I don't know if you can you do fixed setups in a set of Corsa competizioni across the championship?
I don't think you can, actually. I'm not sure. You do it in we do it in AMS too, and you do it in Race Room, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, with some of the stuff I've been doing, the fixed setup can just be a bit boring. I do like being able to mess with the setup, and it's Maddie he goes dips the wheel there. I do like being able to mess the setup and get the car how I like it. So I'm sure that's what these guys have been doing over the course of the season. And Tom Weaver's just coming to the pits now as well in P1, so see where he comes out amongst the pack. Not long to go now, Josh. 6 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find out where the battles are. Hence my being quiet, which is I know it's a bit unusual, but
there's Mertens. Yeah, Mertens Binnersley looks close, but it looks like very close. And Binnersley just got through the dirt, but yeah, he's down the inside for turn 3. Can you make it stick? And yeah, he's got that move. So these two look like they're battling hard for those last few points. See if they can make it stick.
I've just noticed the pink thing on the roof of that car. That looks. What's that all about? Aerial.
It's one of the LED options. You can equip on the Mercedes. It's quite interesting. I think it personally should be on the Simply Sausages car of FX. I think that would be more appropriate. But yeah, quite an interesting looking thing for sure. Reminds me of like a Teletubbies or something.
What's its purpose?
Well, it's just for some of these endurance cars, you can see obviously the LEDs and stuff, and for night racing, a lot of the teams equip different coloured LEDs on their cars to differentiate themselves, so they can actually see where they are and in relation to other cars and see which car is which. And obviously, one of the differentiating things that Mercedes do is do that stalk on the top in LEDs, and that's just the aerial for like the radios and all the telemetry stuff. So that's why the cars have these LED strips, really.
Right, okay.
The more you know.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some cool ones. Like there was one of the Lamborghinis in the GT World Challenge. I think it had the Italian flag in LEDs, like around the windscreen. It was green, red, and white, and in the Italian flag colours. I thought that was really cool. But they get quite creative with some of the LED placements. So it's really cool to see.
Oh, why is it now everyone decides to pass at the exact same time as they get 4 minutes to the end? I'm trying to choose who to go for, but Binnersley and Mertens, they're quite close as well. But
yeah, is that Curtin coming through behind Binnersley? Is that the P1 man?
Yep.
I think it is. Yeah. He's making tracks through the pack. Hopefully, doesn't get caught up in the last few minutes, but has a pretty dominant lead. So yeah, interesting to see. It might play into who was it that was behind? It might play into Mertens' favour actually if Curtin compromises Binnersley in the Mercedes, because that might give him an opportunity to squeeze past. And Mertens just doesn't look close enough to capitalise on that. It was unfortunate. You should have tried to stick with Curtin and try and make that move at the same time. So, yeah, unfortunately, just Curtin just showing his pace there, I think. He's been pretty dominant this race, I think, Josh.
Definitely, we've seen Gretschel get passed by P14 man of Dave Crew. They've been let through, but Mertens and Binnersley still battling it out all the way through. They've got even closer together now as they go into turn 2.
It's the same chassis as well, so they know each other's strengths and weaknesses, as we said before when we see this on track, and they're just trying to pick a place where one is weak and one is strong. But that's unfortunate for Nate Newcomer off in the gravel exit turn 6 again, Josh.
Again, I told you, man.
Another one bites the dust. We've seen Nate Newcomer at the front as well. I think he was P2 at one point at Bathurst in that Alpine. So shame to see him off and down further down the pack than he usually is. But yeah, at turn 6, claims another victim.
I'm just a god at calling when it's going to happen, but we see Binnersley going very wide and clipping the grass. He's given the squeeze on Mertens, who has to lift, but yeah, it looks like Binnersley breaks just a tad bit too late.
Right.
That's got him off on the inside for the end of the corkscrew, but that's given the inside for Mertens as he goes around now. Try and find a
there's
better
contact
camera.
there. You could see a little touch. You could see
Robbins
the headlights.
racing, James. Robbins racing.
That's what it's all about. Getting the elbows out, and Merton certainly did that there with a little touch on Binnersley, saying this Apex is mine, sunshine, and gave him the old BTCC love tap. So
He's got past Binnersley, and that's moved on. Absolutely fantastic. Close race between those two.
Great racing to see.
Where's the next battle?
Yeah, they're in different tiers as well. You've got to remember, Mertens is in tier 2 and Binnersley in tier 1, so great to see them fighting. And Godzilla trying to close in on Madley as well. And he's doing so very, very aggressively. So see if he can get this move done. He's only got a minute or so, a few minutes left of racing. And then what was a lovely switch back into turn 9 there, but Merton's going to have the inside for turn 10, whether he can make it stick or not. And it looks like he has, and he just needs to squeeze Godzilla out into the exit, and he has done. And then has the inside for turn 11. So Mertens is holding on to this. Madley is holding on to this at the moment, but Godzilla looking for the switch back and, hopefully engaging some of the grunt of the Chevrolet, but that Porsche is holding on just enough to keep that position, and he's going to take the inside for the Andretti hairpin.
It's weird hearing you say a Porsche is going really well down the straight.
Yeah, he's got a good.
GT3 car's been absolutely crap on the straights.
He got a good release, and it looked like Godzilla obviously just got maybe a bit squirrely on the exit, and as he just done there actually, exit turn 2 coming into turn 3, and it looks like Madley just has enough pace in the back to keep him behind, and he just needs to keep this gap now until the end of the race, which is probably going to be pretty soon.
Yeah, there's 9 seconds left. Olivier Curtin looks like he's just crossed the start-finish line, so he'll be on his final lap. So these guys have got this plus one more until they're finished. So he can't give up now. Godzilla can't give up now, and Madley can't just kind of sit back and go, you know what, that's it. Mission accomplished, lads. But he just has to keep on going for another lap.
Yeah,
Madley's just trying to get home early so he can cuddle his sheep.
He's gone a bit deep there, I think. Oh no, his Starbucks off somewhere. Where's that? Turn 11. That's an interesting place to be off. He seems to be stuck as well. Very unfortunate. Godzilla looks like he has made them pass on Madley. Like Madley made the mistake at the corkscrew and possibly had to concede the position. So unfortunate, but Madley still has another lap to try and get that position back. So let's see if it happens. Looking at the other battles, it looks like this is the closest battle out of the rest of the grid. So, yeah, I think Curtin's got this one in the bag. I'd say P1 in the championship. So
that's Adam Sharp in the green as well. That's him out of the race. It looks like he was in P7. So that's not good news for him, unfortunately.
I wonder how the battle is going in the championship, because Varley is the position behind Rogers currently, so could be interesting, but I don't know how everyone else is in the championship. Weaver and Dorr and Rogers, and Rigel, so we'll have to review this one possibly after the race.
It looks like Varley should be holding on to P2 position so far compared to Rogers, but Rigel might be able to steal it. I need to do the mental maths, so I'm going to grab a calculator at some point.
Well, Curtin has crossed the line, which means that's provisional championship winner there. It's crossed the line.
Oh, he's 100% got it.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, but it looks provisionally like he's P1. He looks pretty clear, so yeah. Dorr, Weaver, everyone on P5, and then we're seeing the other guys closing up, but it doesn't seem like Madley is close enough to Godzilla at the moment to make that move, so I think that's how it's going to finish, unless he drops a wheel, but it doesn't look that way. So yeah, that looks like race done. Godzilla very happy with that, giving some flash of the headlights. So yeah, I don't know. There's still some racing going on, but no one looks close enough to be making any moves. So I think that's going to be some quick mental maths, Josh, for the provisional championship results until it is confirmed by the race stewards.
Hang on, I'm doing maths.
You
You
got
just
your
need-
abacus out.
Yeah, you just need that
Um,
gif of the woman with the math symbols floating about on screen right now for
I
you.
want to make sure this is actually correct because it looks like. Hang on. Yeah, I want to make sure before I confirm this, but. Yep, Varley's just got P2 from Rigel. Rigel in P3. Yeah, Rigel was 3 points off Varley, so if he made one more position, he could have won it.
That's
He
close.
could have got P2. So
That's very close.
Is that
Very-
just in GT4? Or is that across the GT3, GT4?
that's just in GT4.
Okay.
My maths isn't that good, unfortunately.
No, we've seen some great racing throughout, and we've loved the GT4 league, haven't we? The portion of this league. So hopefully some more of that in the future would be great. Definitely check out the Constructors League, which is currently in the GT4's as well, and a few others. And we've probably got some more stuff coming up. I think Charger's probably the best one to ask about that.
Yeah,
Under the bus, James, go for it.
That's the point.
well, we know there'll be the British GT Championship coming in the next few days. There's a 4-week RF2 league coming on the Friday in the next couple of days.
Yes.
Yeah, go and mop yourself up there. We've got some the mini league on Race Room on Thursdays and a bit of fun on AMS2 on Sundays.
Excellent.
Plus the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday stuff that Damien puts on for the constructors and pre-practice for the league stuff, you know. So yeah, it's plenty
Yeah.
going on.
Lots of stuff.
Well, if that excites anyone watching and you want to get involved, then the link's up on the screen right now to join us on Discord. That's where you'll find all the information on to join the leagues. You also get to meet some sound folk like Charger, myself, unfortunately James as well. So just but yeah, any highlights from you two from the season overall?
Go on, Charger, you can kick it off.
Oh. Oh.
You're throwing people under the bus, man. It's bad.
Yeah. I don't know actually. There's so many that you just, especially when you're driving it, you just couldn't pick them out. I mean, I've had some cracking pack racing with people, some great overtakes, some, you know, when you actually sit there and you go, yes, you know,
Yeah.
you know, there's those moments, and there's been so many of them. So I
Yeah.
couldn't really pick anything out, really.
I think for me the race highlight, as in the one I probably enjoyed the most, was the Suzuka GT4 round. I thought that was just exceptional, the racing quality and everyone, you know, the battles going on. There was not a dull moment in that race whatsoever. And I enjoyed the first race at Imola as well, the GT3s. Everyone was, you know, on edge, you know, first round of the season, trying to feel everyone else out and just, you know, show that we got an idea of who the front runners were, and got to see some great battles up and down the field. So, yeah, no, it's been a great season, and I think we both enjoyed, haven't we, Josh, that seeing the GT3s and GT4s battle.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of another word for definitely, but I'm cried at this point. But yeah, as Charger says, there's plenty more series going on. There's the R Factor 2, there's the Endurance series coming up as well. The first one at Silverstone is in 2 weeks, I believe. So if you want to get kind of caught up with that and get notified when the streams go live, be sure to follow on Twitch or subscribe on YouTube. You'll be notified for all that. Click the bell icon, whatever it is on Twitch as well. And as I said, yeah, if you want to join the RWB Racing, it's there, the link on screen. And yeah, big thanks to the sponsors as well for keeping this possible and allowing us to do all this. It's Racing Sim Tools. There's Pitwall.live, who give us all our telemetry and stuff. And there's Sim Socks as well, for brilliant socks, which I wish I could go get some. But yeah, thanks for joining us for this fantastic league. We hope to see you guys in the future one. And any last words, guys?
Not from me. I think you just need to do the classic RWB sign off, I think.
Yeah.
Has to be one
So-
there.
So yeah, remember, don't race alone, race RWB.